Hey, welcome back to Postal BBQ. I'm JBim Postal, and today at the grill, I'm going to be making up some delicious, smoky pork belly skewers that are absolutely phenomenal. This is definitely one of those recipes you'll want to try out next time you have some friends over. And so, just like always, I'm going to put all the show notes as well as the full recipe in the description box below for you. So make sure to click down there to see everything that you need for this cook. Also, if you like what we're doing on this channel, consider subscribing for more great barbecue recipes, tutorials, and reviews. Now, other than that, let's get into the cook. As I said, welcome back to Postal BBQ. I appreciate you being here. Today at the grill, I'm going to be cooking up this delicious pork belly. And if you've never had a pork belly before, especially done on a kettle grill or a smoker, you are in for a treat for sure, because pork belly is such a versatile cut. You can get a slab like this yourself and cure it, make some bacon. You can make up some delicious pork belly burnt ends, or just leave it whole and cook it, smoke it the way you like it, and make your own slices at the end. But today I'm going to be making some delicious pork belly skewers, which is going to be the perfect appetizer for your next tailgate or just getting together with some friends. And so to get started off with this recipe, you're going to need some pork belly. This is just a third of a slab of pork belly, and I'm going to be using about probably this much of it, and I'll leave the rest. I'll probably cure it and make some homemade bacon. If you want to see how I do that, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description box for you for a homemade bacon recipe. And so to get started with, I need to just measure this out. And so these are the bamboo skewers that I'm using today, and I want the pork belly to go from both the bottom to just over the top, and so that's going to be about right there. So I'm going to grab my knife, I'm going to slice this down about right here, and then just to make it more consistent, I am going to just lay this over top and cut the next one so it's about the same size. There we go. So I'm just going to get rid of this, and like I said, I'm going to turn that into some homemade bacon later on. Next, I'm going to cut these about an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter thick. All right, so guys, just take a look at this. You can see there's some nice fat to meat ratio on there, and you want to make sure that you just leave all of that external fat on there. This is going to render down, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. And so once you have your pork belly into strips, place them onto your skewers. All right, so with my pork belly all skewered, I'm going to season it today with my Postal BBQ Original Rub. This stuff goes great on pork belly. It's got that sweetness that you're looking for, as well as the right amount of salt and pepper spices just to complement this pork belly. So apply your barbecue rub. If you don't have this one, you just use your favorite sweet rub. I'll flip these over. I'm going to season this other side as well. There we go. So with our pork belly skewers all seasoned up and ready to go, let me show you how I set up the slow and sear kettle to cook today around 250 degrees. So to set up our grill today for cooking, I placed in about 20 briquettes into the slow and sear, and I got those coals fully lit. Next, I filled up the remainder of the slow and sear basket, and then I closed the lid and allowed that temperature to stabilize between 250 and 275 degrees. All right, with my grill sitting around 250 degrees, I'm going to go ahead and get these pork belly skewers on the grill opposite the coals. Then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add on a little bit of cherry wood. This is just going to add a little bit of extra flavor to my pork belly as it cooks. And so with everything on the grill, I'm going to close up this lid, and I'm going to begin smoking this pork belly for a number of hours, and I'll come back about every hour to give it a spritz and just check up on its tenderness. It's been just over 2 hours now since I first put this pork belly into the kettle grill, and my grill temperature has been rock steady around that 250, 260 degree mark the entire time. I did open up the grill at the 1 hour mark, and I gave it a spritz. And so let's open up again and just take a look to see how they're cooking. Guys, just take a look at this. You can see that that fat is starting to render out. There's some nice color on here as well. I'm going to give it another spritz, and then I'm actually going to flip them over just to promote some even cooking as well as some even color from that wood smoke. There we go. I'm just going to flip them over as well. And then I'm going to give it one last spritz just on that underside. Again, this is just going to help keep them hydrated. There we go, and then I'm gonna close up this lid, and I'm gonna let my pork belly skewers continue to cook for probably another hour before I begin checking for tenderness. And so while I wait for them to finish, let's go ahead and make a delicious barbecue sauce. When it comes to adding some barbecue sauce to your pork belly skewers later on in the cook, go ahead and use whatever barbecue sauce you prefer. The barbecue sauce I'm going to be making today is a little bit more mustardy, a little bit more tangy from some apple cider vinegar, and it's going to go really well with this pork belly skewers because it's going to help cut through some of that richness with that bit of tang from both the mustard as well as the apple cider vinegar. There's not much you're going to need to prepare this sauce. I'm going to start with 1 cup of ketchup. Place that in a saucepan. And then to that, I'm going to add in 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I also have 2 tablespoons of molasses. I also have a few spices. I have 1 tablespoon each of paprika, black pepper, onion powder, and some garlic powder. So I'm going to toss that in as well. Next, I'm going to add in a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and so I'm going to add some in now as well as maybe a little bit after I've added in that mustard. There we go. That was about 1/4 cup. And then lastly, like I said, I'm going to add in some mustard, and I'm going to start with about 2 tablespoons of this. There's 1, 2, and then it's now at this point that I'm actually going to turn on my heat just to heat up the sauce a little bit so that my sugars begin to melt. So give this a quick mix. Okay, so I'm just gonna give this a quick taste to see if it needs more mustard as well as how much more apple cider vinegar it's gonna need. Oh, that's good stuff. You know, right now, if I was doing some ribs or some chicken, this would be a perfect sauce. It's a little bit mustardy, it's a little bit tangy, but I am gonna add in another tablespoon of mustard. There we go. And then I'm also going to add in a little bit more apple cider vinegar just to thin it down. There we go. We'll give that a mix together again. Okay, so I'm going to give it one last taste just to make sure it has those flavors that I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. Okay, that is good. You can really taste now that mustard as well as the apple cider vinegar. And this sauce is going to really cut through some of that fattiness and the richness of the pork belly. I'm going to turn off my burner now and let that sauce just come down to room temperature while we wait for these pork belly burnt end skewers to finish cooking. All right, guys, it's been 3 hours of cooking and my pork belly should be getting close to being done. And so it's at this point, I'm gonna give it another spritz as well as just probe it for some tenderness using my thermopan. So let's just take a look to see how they're coming. All right, just take a look at these again. You can see that that fat is starting to render out quite nicely. It's got some nice color on them. But when I press down on that pork belly, I can already tell that's a little bit tight still. And so I'm just gonna poke it with my thermopan just to see the temperature. We got about 187. And so the pork belly still needs a little bit more time, but the great thing with pork belly is that you can pull it off at this temperature if you like. If you want a little bit more chew with the pork belly skewers, then take it off earlier. But I want these to be hitting around 190 to about that 200 degree mark. And so I'm gonna quickly give it another spritz. And then quickly close up that lid again. And I'm gonna continue to cook these for probably another 20 minutes before I come back and hit it with our barbecue sauce. All right, I ended up letting these go for another 30 minutes. I did open up the grill prior and just probe for tenderness, and they were almost done, but not quite the way I wanted them. And so at this point, they should be done, so let's probe for tenderness. All right, here we go. That's pretty tender. Yeah, so these are probing fairly tender. I still need to put a little bit of sauce on there and let them continue to cook for probably another 10 minutes. And so the doneness that I'm seeing right now is the perfect doneness for me and for this cook. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some of our barbecue sauce. Those look so good already. So let's close up that lid, and I'm gonna continue to cook this for probably another 10 minutes or so to allow that sauce to set up a little bit. Then at that point, we'll come back and we'll get ready for the taste test. my pork belly skewers are all done, and they had a total cooking time of around 4 hours to get them to the tenderness that I like. If you want them a little bit less tender, a little more bite, just take them off a little bit early. If you want them a little bit more just gooey, then keep them on a little bit longer. But for me, this is how I like them. It's about 195 degrees. And so let's go for a taste test. And this guy here has been calling my name. It's got incredible mahogany color. It smells so good. And so let's go for the taste test and see how it is. Oh man. That's so good. These skewers are so good. You know, this is one of those dishes that's gonna be a favorite for sure. It's got those classic barbecue notes in it, from the smokiness to the tenderness, and it has that classic rich pork belly flavor that's balanced out really nicely with that tangy barbecue sauce that we put on. You know, this is one of those dishes you wanna try out when there's friends or family coming over. Give these a try for your next feast. You're gonna love it for sure. So I'm gonna grab this guy right here, and I'm gonna go for another taste. And that's so good. That pickle. So that's how you make those smoky and delicious pork belly skewers for your next feast. You're gonna love them for sure. Hey, if you wanna see more barbecue videos just like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. Also, special thank you to all my patrons out there who help support this channel every single week. Until next time, keep that fire lit and get cooking.